Tom Hartman, welcome to the show. It's an honest pleasure to be talking with you.
Thank you for having me, Michael. Enjoy to be
Yeah,
here.
I just want to jump right into it. So I have so many questions, but before I do, I'm first going to make the introduction here. So for those who don't know, Tom Hartman is a tech and marketing veteran with 15 plus years of experience and 4 plus years experience in algorithmic trading, shipping 90 plus production algorithms. He is currently a marketing manager at Traders Post and founder of Sacred Profit. Tom, let's jump right into it. So, you mentioned you're an algorithmic trader. Explain to me how you got started in this process and what kind of algorithmic trader are you?
Sure. I started trading just my own money, and that was back in 2018. And I just ended up making like all the mistakes somebody could make in trading their money. I jumped from asset to asset to asset, different time frames, just blew
Chasing the
money left
market.
and right.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
I think everyone is guilty of that. Even the best traders are guilty of their first round. It's like almost like you're doing something wrong if you make money.
Well, you see the information and you think to yourself, because it's new to you, you think, "Oh my god, I found an edge, I found a secret, I get it, I see this pattern in the market." And then you chase it and you're like, "Why isn't this working?" And you keep going again and again and again. So,
Yeah. So as an algorithmic trader, do you make most money in bear markets, bull markets, or when things are just low volume and trading sideways?
oh, that's a great question. Low volume is the worst for me. I need high
Hmm,
volatility and either a trend of bullish or bearish. So as long as the market is moving, I can make money or help my clients make money.
very cool. So, you know, jumping into the day to day here with the crypto market, it's a fascinating time to be witnessing where things are going. So, I guess I would just have two quick questions here. First of all, are we still in 4 year cycles? And is the long awaited alt season coming?
The big $1 trillion question. Well, we'll find out. The 4-year cycle actually ends in mid October, early to mid October.
Mm,
So, whatever happens after that point will confirm whether the 4-year cycle is over or not. I would have expected Bitcoin to be a lot higher than it is right now. So, but we don't get the heights that we want. We just get what the market gives to us. And so I
right.
fully expect a peak to happen in October, and then for a year after that going down.
Very interesting. So, we always think that this time is different and it's always the same, but this time really feels different. You don't have retail investors coming, you have institutional investors really holding the market steady. You're seeing much less volatility than we've ever seen with Bitcoin. We're seeing that steady flow going upwards. All the markers for really hitting the peak haven't yet manifested. None of them are going off. So it really would be hard to see how this year wouldn't be different. I mean, like, Bitcoin dominance is down. You have everything kind of like this coiled spring ready to explode. So, obviously no one knows where it's going. And, but you do see, money leaving higher risk, lower risk assets going into higher risk assets. You're seeing Bitcoin dominance go down. You're seeing money flow into the more stable altcoins like Ethereum. And now we're seeing Solana starting to pump. And obviously that banana zone, that crazy push upwards is when you see meme coins kind of low market caps get all that liquidity. So as someone who has clients who doesn't want to, is okay with playing with their own money, but they want to obviously not play with their clients' money and take the safer route. Uh, it's like you're like, hey, there's a ton of opportunity here, but we're a little bit in uncharted territory. How are you navigating that dichotomy?
Sure. Well, you painted the picture very well here because you can make the case for the bull case or the bear case. There's plenty of information on both sides. And it's been my experience that whenever there's a bull case to be made, there'll be people who make money in that avenue. It's sort of like the people who are rich, the people who have will have more, and the people who don't will have less. And so
Yeah,
we're
the
having this
bears
K
sound
shaped.
smart and the bulls make money. That's what they
Exactly.
say.
That's right. Now the issue we're having here is that I think in the last cycle we had the whole thing with the altcoins and meme coins and NFTs and all that, and that's not what we're having this cycle. What we're having, what it looks like for my clients in this cycle, is that we're having prop firm hype. Are you aware of what prop firms are?
No, I'm not.
So it's the ability for people to trade other people's money. There's these services that you sign up for. You pay either a monthly fee or you pay for the account. They give you access to 5,000, 100,000, 200,000, $1 million. You trade that, and
Hmm.
they give you a cut of what you make. And this industry has absolutely exploded because people are taking away 10,
I
20,
mean, it
fifty
sounds
thousand
like you're
dollars a
talking about
month.
ETFs. I mean, in abstract terms.
Well, it's actually the futures market that's it got somehow this mechanism, this weird mechanism where it feels like crypto but within the equities market, although it also exists in crypto.
Right.
And they found this loophole that allows people to trade, I mean,
Right.
massively
But
by
how? So
risking
explain to
only
me
a little bit
how.
of their own money.
Right. So how is that different than necessarily ETFs, where someone else is custodying your Bitcoin or your Ethereum, and something like MicroStrategy?
Because not to go into all the detail of it, but essentially you're not trading your own money. You are paying a company to have the right to trade their money.
Oh, so it's directly trading. So like, something like MicroStrategy is more of a treasury for Bitcoin.
That's right.
Right. Okay. I see. I see. I see. Because
Yeah.
technically, when you buy MicroStrategy and it's nothing but a treasury for Bitcoin, you're just paying them to hold on to your Bitcoin. But you could.
Yeah. And you're risking your
Yeah,
own
I
money.
see. Right, right. Well, I mean, Michael Saylor's promising to like minimize the downside and maximize the upside. And he's been doing a little bit of magic where, his stock goes up a little higher proportionally than Bitcoin's going up, and it goes down a little less when Bitcoin corrects. But it's actually a brilliant plan. I think what he says is like he'll give you Bitcoin at a premium. And the more people buy it, the more the price goes up, and then the more he's making money, and the more everyone's making money. So it's this very neat little clever plan he has set up. But it'll stand the test of time when we're in a bear market, because that's what we really want to see is Michael Saylor make money when things go up. But how is he going to navigate this process when things start to go down?
That's right.
Um, yeah. So looking at the market right now, and I know we have so much to talk about because you do marketing, you do a whole bunch of other stuff, but the whole crypto stuff is just fascinating. Are you I guess how are you positioning yourself forward, and are you kind of looking forward towards stocks? Do you think that we're a little oversold? Uh, Stocks and crypto, what would you be all in right now? And in terms of what you see coming next, like what would you jump on in the crypto market?
Sure. Well, just as far, just so you know, for my sake, what I do is I sell tools to people to be able to properly analyze the market and trade themselves. So for
Hmm.
my day to day trading, I only trade and invest for my family and stuff like that. I'm not trying to be out here making myself out to be this elite trader. But as far as macro concerns are concerned, we're headed into one of the most dangerous periods of the year, September, October. So I would
Mm,
not be taking any long positions yet. I'd be waiting to see if a crash happens and then buying in there. And then come November, that's where I'd start to look for long positions in anything, any high beta, any Mag 7, any layer ones. That's what I'd be looking at if we don't get a crash in November, in September, October.
yeah, September, the famous red September.
Exactly.
Sorry, yes. You know, what's interesting about that is my personal strategy is to have the worst thing to feel is when prices are super low and you're out of like cash to buy, in the sense that you're
That's
fully
right.
leveraged in the market. That's the worst feeling, where Bitcoin is down 30% and you've DCA'd your way to zero. So holding about 20-30% right now is I think the smartest thing to do. We kind of hit a local low even compared to the prior month on the first day of September, but
Mhm.
something about the market feels a little weak. There's a little upwards momentum in crypto, but it kind of feels like if there's going to be another break upwards, if Ethereum is really going to head towards once again all-time highs, where Bitcoin is really going to want to hit that, is it the 50-day EMA that we're looking at? It really wants to hit around 105, stay there for a bit to kind of get enough momentum to push upwards. So I completely agree with you that right now is the best time not to do anything.
Mhm.
I wouldn't buy now personally, and again, this is not financial advice. We're just two guys talking, but
Do your own
yeah,
research.
it's yeah, do your own research. You know the whole thing. But I think we're pretty consistent there. And what about stocks? I mean, what's your feeling about that?
Same. Stocks are actually even more dangerous than crypto, I find, because you not only have the global liquidity risk, you also have policy risk from monetary policy and fiscal policy.
Mm,
And so we're at all-time highs. And I don't like buying
right,
all-time highs. I see no
we
reason
are.
to buy all-time highs. I'd rather be levered long on a small either futures or options. So you put 10% of your portfolio and buy call options or be long futures, make your money, and have most of my money waiting for that 20%, 50% drop, and then buy then. No need to be a hero.
Yeah, yeah. Tom Lee is talking about 200K Bitcoin end of year
Sure. Well, he's been
and
saying that for a while
15K
now, hasn't he?
Ethereum. He has. Um, I love when people say he's been right about many things. Yeah, but he's also said a lot more things too, and they're not always right. Uh, do you think we're gonna hit Bitcoin 200K end of year?
It's totally possible. So it all depends what happens September, October. If we get past
Mm,
there, and the Fed is, we know they're going to be cutting rates. If there's not
mm-hmm.
some big crisis, then we're going to have that Santa Claus rally. I could go into the reasons why that'll happen. And if that happens, the likelihood of having a short squeeze in Bitcoin is super high. And
Mm,
we can blink up 20, 30% just like that. And then momentum carries us from there. And yeah, we can get to 150, 200 by the end of the year. But only if we don't have a crash September, October.
very, very interesting.
Yeah. I
Okay,
could go
I
into the
mean,
structural dynamics if you're interested and what happens
I
there.
am actually I am. I'd here. We'll move to other topics in a bit, but yes, I certainly am interested.
Oh, I could talk about this all day long, but essentially what happens is that if the stock market is up or any assets are up by the end of the year, then the people need to sell by the end of the year, or they need to close out their books. Their numbers are closed at the end of the year, and come January, they have a fresh set of books that they can buy assets with, because now let's say they were up 15, 20% the year before, they have more collateral in the new year. So now literally new money has been created that they can then put back into the market by taking out loans, leveraging, and all that sort of thing. And so in order to, because a bunch of the market participants, major market participants know this, they front run the January buy in December, which is why you get a Santa Claus rally. So you get a
Mm,
rally in December, prices go up, then those people in January have even more money, prices go up, and then that's why you normally have a crash. The next period for a crash
right.
is February, March, April.
Plus, you have the Fed cutting rates. Plus, you have global M2
Exactly.
money supply exploding. You kind of have this like
QE,
coiled
all that.
spring and this perfect storm set up. Very, very interesting.
That's right.
Very cool, man. We should have a whole podcast on just this itself, but there's there's other things that I'm dying to talk about with you. Um,
Sure.
so I guess now coming back to Tom Hartman, the marketing veteran, uh, how did you first of all tell me a little bit about your marketing endeavor and how did it all get started?
Well, I started off in the digital marketing space. Um, Programmer, lead developer, head of operations for a digital design agency. So I did that for years. Then COVID hit. And then I was like, well, I got to do something else. My clients disappeared. I didn't have the same sort of access. So I decided I'm going to trade. Um, Once I did, I made, even though I lost at the beginning, I made up just large sums of money and
Right.
then lost it all. And then made large sums of money
Oh,
and then lost it all. And I was like, why do I keep losing? What is happening here?
because the
And that's why I
hardest
decided to
thing is
spend.
not knowing when to buy, it's knowing when to sell. When you're
Absolutely.
euphoric and it's flashing green and it's been flashing green for weeks and you have no reason to take such a drastic step and sell that
Mhm.
bag. And unfortunately, some of us hold it all the way down and we are exit liquidity for the people who made the
Absolutely.
right moves. Yes, but that's how you learn. It's such a painful lesson that the only way you can learn it is if you experience it sometimes. And
That's right.
yeah, but
So I found
that's
that
we're in an
I was like,
economy. Yeah.
well, I just wanted to mention that's why I was like, I needed to figure out why was I losing? And I was like, well, I'm a
Mm,
programmer. Let me just make a bunch of tools that'll just tell me in the future when I should buy, when I should sell. I was like, why am I relying on everybody else? So I just spent 2.5 years making my own tools. And I was like, oh, if I had these, I would have been so much better off. And now I'm just doing
Right.
the third leg back up.
Right. So I actually asked you a question early on when like algorithmic trader are you? And just from doing a little bit of TA on my end, like when there are lower volume moments, you have these upper and lower bounds that Bitcoin will kind of chop between for extended periods of time. And to me, that almost seems like a lower if the algorithm and it's all kind of constructed intelligently, it can feel like that could be a good time to catch those constant oscillating tops and bottoms. And during when Bitcoin is side chopping for an extended period of time, people can make a lot of money. What
That's
do you
right.
think about that?
That's exactly right. That's why I was, when you asked that question at the beginning, volatility is what I'm looking for. If Bitcoin is moving 2% sideways, it might as well be moving 10% straight up or 10% straight down. It doesn't matter to me. I can make money as long as the performance is
Mm,
there. So that's where I learned that the strategy of having long-term investments for, the whole barbell strategy from Nassim Taleb, have 80% of your assets in long-term safe things and 20% in high risk, smart high risk. Then
mm.
with a little bit of money, I could make a lot through that trading while I build up my bag for the longer term.
Oh, so you shouldn't be going all in Fartcoin. Uh,
Never.
okay. Well, here's what I admire about you. Here's what I admire about you, Tom. Just from the getting to know you for just a few minutes, you seem like you're highly intelligent and highly versatile. You've got this sense of curiosity and this repurposing of your tools. And you're 100% right. I mean, comes COVID and we realize, hey, how do we develop a career portfolio? How do we use our abstract skills and just apply them in many different disciplines? And I think being a programmer specifically has that sense of abstract, deductive structures that you find yourself, hey, I can reuse these skills for a ton of stuff. And this is why I always tell everyone, like, even if you never want to program a day in your life, studying programming is the most effective tool to communicate with science. It is such a powerful tool at your fingertips, whether you want to program or whether you want to engage in anything analytical. I mean, you take it one step a little more abstract. It's like you study, you have a background in mathematics. You're sometimes better qualified in the finance world than someone who studied finance because it's all about reusability. And I'm kind of curious. So you started as a programmer. At what point did you start to say, "Hey, let me move and to this next discipline"? And what was that next discipline? It sounds like marketing. And kind of, looking back, why do you think you're constantly hopping around?
So my skill is as a generalist, and I started off as a programmer because I didn't want to have to work with anybody else. I just wanted to talk to a computer and let that be the thing. But then when I
Mm,
dealt with different companies, I was able to explain the data and what code could do better than other programmers. So then I ended up speaking more with clients as well as programming, and then I shifted because they were like, "Well, to have a programmer who can speak much better, we got to get you
right.
out there." And all of a sudden, I was doing sales, I was doing project lead, I was doing that sort of thing. So I ended
Mm,
up being very versatile in that realm. And then in that vein, I was able to deal with all kinds of different industries I just never dealt with when I was sitting behind the keyboard. And so then I realized there's way more out here, way more usefulness to take the thinking in programming and translate it to regular people, regular business owners for how they
right.
could succeed in businesses and what have you.
Amazing, Tom. And you're right. Like we are defined by our weakest component. So you can be the best programmer. If you can't appeal to your audience, if you can't work in a team, if you can't take complex ideas and make them digestible by an audience who doesn't understand your esoteric world, you'll lose to someone every time who can. And I find that amazing how you went from that programming world in understanding consumer value. Now, how did how did how did trading and algorithmic trading come about all this?
Well, one, it was the necessity because I had to manage my own money and I didn't trust other people. So I had to learn how to manage
Mm,
my own. And then with COVID, I had to do something else to make money. And so programming and the financial markets just came was just perfect. I could do it at home. I could do it alone without relying on anybody else. So it was just a match made in heaven. It was like the best video game ever.
Mm,
That's how I see it.
yeah. So I know you have a passion for AI, so I kind of want to open up with this question. So for the longest time, and we generally think things are farther away than they actually are, except for flying cars, which we've been talking about for over 60 years. I still aren't here yet. That's more for practical reasons. But this whole idea of AI taking over, we tend to underestimate in certain capacities the progress of Moore's law, that exponential rate of growth. Now, for the longest time, we thought AI would take over maybe programming disciplines and highly technical or systematic disciplines, but we never really thought AI would have the influence it has in fields like art and music. And I would say that almost all of us are completely surprised by how amazing AI can dominate and navigate those industries. Where do you see all this is going? Do you have a dystopian view on AI? Or, are we going to be jobless and is this whole world economy going to fall apart, or are these going to be great tools that we leverage for time forward?
Yeah. So a great question. So in order to answer that for myself, I was like, okay, I need to try to replace myself. I have to use these AI tools, and instead of someone replacing me one day, I have to replace myself in marketing. I have to replace myself in programming. I have to replace myself in whatever it is that I'm doing. And so I did that, and I was like, okay, let me use the AI tools to build workflows that'll replace myself. And then it turned out
Mm.
that if you can do that, nobody wants to fire or not hire the guy who can do that. Someone who's like, okay, I'm going to take these AI tools and build whole systems. That's literally my job, but automated. They go, okay, you did that. Now let me point you over here, do it over there. Now let me point you over there, do it there. And then your job
Your job is
becomes
to make yourself obsolete, and that's why you're in such
again and
high
again and
demand.
again
It's
and again and again and again.
brilliant duality. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah, I kind of see AI like a time for self-reflection, at least in the short term or short to moderate term, where we ask ourselves one really important question. What is my uniqueness factor? What do I do really good? Because if you look at AI is the collection of every article out there, of every research paper out there, and you're going to get this really good B to B plus student. It is the average outcome, it is the average value, and you kind of want to know whether you're falling below or above that. So from one perspective, if you're falling below that curve, you are a lot more under the threat of AI's advancement in the economical landscape, as opposed to someone who has a truly unique perspective in what they do. They, in fact, will have an advantage in this environment because AI really won't pose a direct threat to them. It'll first pose a threat to everyone else. And I love your perspective here. You're like, I'm going to, I mean, but that's what we should all be doing. We should be looking at GPT, the NLP as a natural language processor, as a PhD level virtual assistant, but it's only as good as the person behind the screen.
That's
And
right.
this is why uh, you have to understand that everyone's using GPT. It's part of the competitive landscape right now. So you can worry about the future, but right now you can worry about today is how do you maximize this tool, put it in your arsenal, and constantly look at yourself in the mirror and say, what do I do that's unique? And what do I do that's replaceable? And whatever is replaceable, I'm going to want to systematically patternize that and delegate it, have GPT take over, have employees take over, and then only focus on what I do unique. So, and this concept applies all the time, but I think with something like ChatGPT, something like the advancements of I think it puts that perspective into the light. And I love how you found that in a way where you were like, yeah, we're gonna be obsolete to some capacity. Let me show everyone how I can offer value in that twisted perspective by making myself obsolete and saying, hey, I can make that guy obsolete, or I can make this process obsolete. It can all be done with AI. So getting a little more specific here, uh, do you how do you use GPT in your day to day? How do you use GPT to be more efficient in marketing or programming or whatever it is you do or trading? Any tips to those people? Any tips to people who are engaged in these industries, how they can kind of do more with something like GPT?
Sure. I just got to say, first of all, the way you just summarized the AI landscape for individual, Michael, that was just absolutely perfect. You got to clip
Thank
that
you.
out.
That's awesome.
Oh, you got to listen to that. That is exactly what you have to have in your mind. Absolutely
Thank you.
fantastic. Yeah. So basically, just as a side note, when I used to be in programming and marketing, what I would do is I would see other ads, I would see other things that were built, and I would just sit around copying what other people. I saw a good website, I would copy it. I saw a good idea, a good plugin, I would copy it. The same thing is true now for AI. What happens now is that I we were all used to using tools built by other people in order to get our job done, and they were like 50 to 80% of what we want. So what I do now is that I'll buy a tool and then I'll spend a weekend using AI to recreate that tool specifically for me. If it's a
Mm,
content creator, if it's a social media post creator, if it's music generation, if it's a video for intro for a YouTube channel, whatever it is, I'll buy the service for a month, 2 months, reprogram it my way with AI, and then use that tool and then make it
mm,
go better and better and better. And then, so I'm sitting now with apps on my computer that are apps that I made that might as well be $1 million apps that can sell in the tech space. But it's just for me,
mm,
customized specific for what I want. That's how I think people
hmm.
should do it. Just
Right,
recreate the tools you're already using, and in that process, you'll be like, "Hey, how can I do this? How can I do that? How can I do this?" And you just learn how to because you had the thing to aim for, and then you have this
right,
tool that you can use every day, make your job better.
right, right.
I
I
should
would love to
mention
look at.
I
Yes,
I
go ahead.
don't use, I don't use ChatGPT or anything like that. I use Claude Code. I'm not paid by Claude Code, but I am a shill for Claude Code. I pay whatever the
Mm,
max plan, and it's like having a team of PhDs and engineers and content creators sitting around
I heard of
waiting for me to
Claude.
tell them what to do.
Why do you prefer Claude over GPT? Just out of curiosity.
Well, Claude Code specifically. So Claude Code is a terminal interface that seems daunting at first if you're not used to it. Don't let that stop you. Go check it out. And what happens is that it runs on your computer and it can build applications locally to do what you're asking it to
Ah,
do.
cool.
So you're not copying and pasting from a chat system. It's literally
Right.
building out the tools that you need. So if you say, go grab all the information, put it together and show me, visualize
And how
this in a
does
way
it
that I might understand.
sorry if it's a weird question, but think of it like, uh, so you're also communicating between different structures, like maybe you have a WordPress website and there's an API, a REST API, and then you have Google Sheets and you have forms. Is it kind of like Zapier, how it's kind of taking in these
Absolutely.
requests and it's is that kind of okay, interesting. Right.
100%. It'll figure out, hey, if I go grab that information, it'll look online. Hey, there's an API for this thing. Let me go grab that information. So it'll say something like, hey, do you want me to go get all your emails? Do you want me to go and get all the support tickets from your system? I'll go put them all together and connect it to ClickUp, connect it to Bear, whatever I need, and display it to you in a way that you want, or build an
Very
application
cool.
that does what you want.
Very
It's
cool.
most people do not do this. They don't sit around thinking I could make an entire app just for me.
Right. But, it's almost, but here's the thing. You're so passionate about using this because I think you're in a great position for it because you understand, because at the end of the day, yeah, it can do a lot of the grunt work for you, but you definitely want to have someone behind the scenes who has a technical understanding of data abstraction, code reuse, encapsulation, just good programming, MVP, model view controller structures. So someone who, like yourself, who could go ahead and touch it up where it actually reaches that threshold where it's giving you more output than the input you're putting into it. So, even as good as that is, would you not agree that having a programmer behind the scenes is absolutely crucial to making this high value?
So it sounds that way. I totally understand that because I'm coming at it from a programmer's perspective. But for example, my twin brother, who is not in programming whatsoever, he comes at it from a creative standpoint. He's a videographer. So the AI tools he's
Mm,
using when he's using code, whatever, he's asking it to do it in the language he understands. So it'll be like
mm,
connect to the systems that visually display things that speak to me, that make music, that make video, and he doesn't touch code at all. And he doesn't need to talk to a programmer because we're not trying to make systems that are distributable. It's just for me. So who cares if it's janky if it gets the thing done?
right.
So If you want
Right.
to transcribe 500 YouTube videos, what do you care what model it's using? What do you care what API it's using? Did it transcribe it? That's great. Move on with your day.
Got it. So this is normally a question I ask everyone. I feel like this would be a very hard question for you to answer. If you were to take a time machine and go 5 years into the future, where do you see yourself? And I hope in 5 years from now you watch this video and you laugh at your answer because the things that you inspired to have today are going to be nothing impressive for you in 5 years. That is the blessing that I give you. So
That's right.
I would like to know, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, the way that I envision the world is that we're mid transition where the 20% of people now who learned how to use these tools, adapted a new landscape, are now insanely rich and well off. I think this will
Hmm.
be a new class of people. So in 5 years, I want to be in that class of people who are not sitting around worried that my job is taken away. All the jobs are taken away, and I'm still left on the top of the hill with the other winners. That's the way I want to see it. There's going to be multiple different streams of income. People are going to have multiple different streams of income. And I do believe, even though this sounds self serving, that trading and investing long term will be a requirement for people. That people
Hmm.
will need to, it won't be a thing that you can survive without being exposed to financial markets. And so I think I have a head
Right.
start in that, and that'll be well off because of it.
Well, now that I have you looking into the future, what's the price of Bitcoin in 5 years from today?
One order of magnitude above where it is right now. So
Correct. That's a
$1 million
very,
above.
very, very safe. That's a very smart answer. 1 million, right? And market cap of gold. It
Exactly.
kind of all makes sense, right? It's that whole
That's right.
perfect psychologically appealing number. Um, so okay. So what are 3 tips of advice as a trader that you would give to a non-trader?
Yeah, so I'm always trying to do this, even with my kids. I try; they don't trade, or some of them do, and I try to instill this within them. One is risk management. The
Hmm.
one mistake I just never really understood previously in markets is that you're not out here, whether you're trading or whether you're doing in your regular life, you're not aiming for the best case scenario. You want the worst case scenario, probable worst case scenario, to also benefit you,
Hmm.
right? It's that anti-fragile idea from Nicholas Taleb. You want to benefit from the downside. If your plan Z, you don't also win in plan Z, well, then you're screwed because one bad thing and you're done.
Hmm.
So that's position. That's the amount of time that you spend on things. That's like your position size in for markets. If you trade too big, if you lose everything. If you
Hmm.
spend too much time chasing something in your own personal life, that's not giving you the return that you're expecting in the time frame that you need. You need to cut that,
Hmm.
right? So that risk management. Two is the idea of cycles. This is one of the major things that I wish I could tell myself in the past, which is if you can understand what's anyone who understands a cycle has the power to predict, right? So
Hmm.
it's like for seasons. If you know that there's 4 seasons and someone else doesn't know there's 4 seasons, then they're going to be operating in winter as if it's summer and they won't understand what's going on.
Right. They
They
won't
will
to
be
prepare
surprised
the
by what
crops.
happens.
They won't be able to do anything. Right.
Exactly. But if you're able to understand the cycle, you can essentially predict the future. And those cycles
Prepare
exist
and
all
leverage.
over. Exactly. So
Hmm.
business cycles, inventory cycles, credit cycles, demographic cycles, whatever. Learn at least one cycle and then plan accordingly. And you'll
Brilliant.
see Stradamus.
Hmm.
And
That
then
was two. Hmm.
yeah, finally my third one is you are not your own slave. That's not my line. I think that's Dostoevsky. I'm not entirely sure. But I realize it didn't matter how much I read, didn't matter how much I practice. I cannot prevent myself from making the mistakes I'm prone to make. And most people are like that. And so what you have to do is
It's very
put
stoic. I like it.
right. You have to put systems into place that prevent you from doing that. You can't just wishful think, oh, I think I'm going to stop my. When I'm trading, I have systems that no matter what I do, will sell that position if it's at the wrong thing, or will buy it when I think I shouldn't buy it. It'll just do it, and I can't stop it from
Hmm.
happening. Same thing with my own life. So I know, for example, for my own personal self, if I have a deadline, I will always meet that deadline. Like I will
Right.
never just not show up at a deadline. And so I put myself in situations where I have deadlines all the time. Whereas someone else, it might be some other thing that they know within them they cannot prevent themselves from doing.
Right. You have these
Right. And so
protocols and rules.
that's right.
And if you think of them as a programmer, it's why We don't need to talk to each other when we want to connect with Wi-Fi or build a tool for Wi-Fi because we have these protocols that everyone agrees on, and it's how things work so seamlessly. I like that.
Correct.
And with the trading, I think what you're doing is you're forcing yourself to not be compromised by our emotional aspect, how that can lead us to do bad decisions, especially in trading. It's like almost like if you want to be the best trader, you do the exact opposite of human emotion, right? When it's everyone's like
Exactly.
when you're like, "Oh, this looks so ugly. It's all red. It's a bloodbath." That's when you buy. You buy the garbage. And then when everyone is euphoric and it's like, "Oh, we're just going crazy." That's when you sell. It is completely counterintuitive, and sometimes those are the most important things in life.
That's right. And so, for
Tom,
example, I'll put
yeah.
myself in a situation where I'll trade an asset. I can't easily put money into that account. That I have to jump through
Right.
a bunch of hoops in order to get
Like, you
there.
have to
So I can
send it with
never
the bank.
FOMO
It takes
into
5
position.
days.
Exactly.
Ah. You have like
Yeah.
5 buffer to like, "Hey, do I actually wanna do this?" Brilliant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's certain discipline to becoming a good trader that you can take with you. It's like with the rest for the rest of your life, the same way when I see someone who takes their physique and their gym seriously and they work out every day, it tells me a little bit about their personality. It tells me a little bit how they're organized and they have goals, and it allows me to make healthy assumptions that they're probably good in business too, and they're probably hard workers too, and they're probably people who I can trust and want to work with as well. Not always the case, but it's good to have these like to see these indicators, because not only they can help you make good decisions, they can also allow you to see bad decisions from a mile away and course correct before you kind of collide head on.
That's the
Um,
key.
Tom, I feel like I can talk to you for hours, but I definitely want to have you on the show again, and I probably want to come a little more organized, and we'll talk about very specific stuff. And I think everyone will benefit from your wisdom.
My pleasure, Michael. Very insightful question. So thank you very much.